Now then, I'm back, Win. Had a bit of trouble. My old MacBook Pro blew up. Well, some of it did anyway. It's 12 years old, so I've had to get a new one because it wouldn't support movies, the old one, so I've had to do this one. So that's a quick grand down the tubes just for a bit of ego touching. But anyway, seems to be things are happening, and perhaps I'm a bit slow getting off the ground. I've written a book. Rotten to its core. Now I don't know where my hands go. Up there. That one. Anyway, it's over my right shoulder. And rotten to its core. It was a quote from a trial in the Anthony Granger inquiry, where Judge Teague said Manchester Police was rotten to its core. But we're not going on about that at the moment. It comes out in end of April, June, so I'll be giving that plenty then. But if you can see the cover there and the cover I've got up here on the film, it shows various little newspaper headlines. Well, every one of those is genuine. So if you can't see them, put it on pause and use a magnifying glass. Because to be honest, it's unbelievable. It really is. When you put it all in context, it's unbelievable. So anyway, there we go. But I'm talking today on Mabs Hussain. Do you remember him? Assistant Chief Constable at GMP, put in charge of Operation Green Jacket to lock up Asian Pakistani paedophiles. Now, being an Asian Pakistani himself, it was like turkeys voting for Christmas, and the arrests were barely minimal, like 10 at most altogether. And of course, three of them were to do with Victoria Agoglia, the young girl who had a heroin injection from an Asian Pakistani 50-year-old. And it's now coming out on Sky today. Can you see that they're actually being identified, these gangs, as Asian Pakistanis? And our new Asian Prime Minister, of course Indian, not Pakistani, has declared there's a war on now and they're starting a massive investigation and they'll be using the National Crime Agency. And that department that deals with child abuse was, it might still be, headed by Mr. Andy Cook, ex-chief constable of Merseyside. And we all know how good he was at his job, because of all the guns and things that have just blown up in his face and everybody else's for that matter. Anyway, that's not the story today. It's in the book, but it's not the story today. So Hussain, following Stephen Watson's appointment as Chief Constable, swearing he was going to clear up the past, suddenly was relocated as Deputy Chief Constable to North Yorkshire Police. Now, just let me quote you some figures here. Well, I can't. Oh, he went in January 2022 to a force that has 1,042 male officers and 619 female officers. So, and then he's there, Deputy Chief Constable. There's two Assistant Chief Constables and a Chief Constable. They've only got 3 police stations, and the only good thing about it is that it does traffic cops on Channel 5. Now, you've got to watch this because you may have been watching Motorway Cops, which is Cheshire, and that is dismal. But these lads, North Yorkshire Traffic Cops, Channel 5, are amazing. They certainly know what they're doing. They do the job. They ram them off the road. They do everything. I think it's bloody hilarious. So anyway, that's North Yorkshire Police. But now they've got Hussain, who having told the Evening News, despite the only 10 arrests for Operation Green Jacket, told the Evening News in some figures here now. Through Neil Keeling, a well-known PR for Greater Manchester Police. He never checks his information. They've identified 800 offenders, 468 victims, 332 of whom have actually been identified, and 809 offenders, 809, can you believe it? And 54 are actually known. For crying out loud. And then the total of arrests for Operation Green Jacket was 10. So anyway, I think Mr. Watson, and there's other figures as well, crying out loud. He even did an article in the Independent with a girl called Isabel Oakeshott, who seemed to have been a temp who brewed the coffee, because he told her that there were 650 perps. Perps, can you believe it? And 13 had actually been convicted. Now, Neil Keeling at the MEN can't wait to make headlines of all this. Never mentioned it. There was one line when he was sacked and moved to North Yorkshire. He had to have been sacked by Steve Watson and his new broom. But anyway, all those figures are there and they're all in the book, properly presented, I hasten to add, in a Manchester accent for those who criticise my artistic grammar. But I don't want to go into it too much. But having said that, I've written to the Police and Crime Commissioner at North Yorkshire because Mr. Hussain has forgotten to add in his CV seen on the website of any service at all in Greater Manchester. So I've drawn her attention to this and the figures and the articles and the everything else and giving her the search prompts. So we'll see what happens. Because do you remember Anthony Granger? The inquiry there where the QC, forgotten his name just for the minute, but anyway, the QC said GMP was rotten to its core and the judge agreed. And he criticised the chief superintendents, especially Jones, for bent evidence. And what happens after this trial? Jones moves to North Yorkshire, which must be a dumping ground for miserable bastards from GMP, and he was chief constable, but quickly resigned. So it must have caught up with him, and he decided to fall before he was pushed, or something like that. And so anyway, there we are now. So we've got Mabs Hussain queuing up to be chief constable. So I just mixed him a bottle. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll have to call that a day. It's gone on a bit, that, hasn't it? I'll add some photos. Continue with a quick apology. I forgot the name of the Queen's Counsel, who was now King's Counsel. And it's Leslie Thomas, KC. And to him, I offer my thanks for the quote, rotten to its core. Out end of April, early June, but I will be advertising it, don't worry. You know, just notice these specs, they're brand new. They make me look like I've got white frames, bit of a film star effect. Anyway, it's hiding my bags. Hey, what about that, Wayne? I was going to open another subject, but I'm keeping it below 10 minutes, so apologies for that, and see you soon.